What's up everyone, Steven here with techmaker.tv. This is building a decentralized chat with Node JS and Aleph.im part 7. In the last episode, we worked out essentially posting messages to the network and listening in our UI with WebSocket so that when we post a message and then it hits the network, we pull it back via WebSockets and load here. Essentially, the way this is going to work is if anybody else is running any other user interface and they publish to the same channel on the network, we'll pick it up here. Or at least that's what the idea eventually will be. We may be picking up some other things right now here. I see all these undefineds coming in. In any case, so that's kind of where we are. We have a really ugly page with the form that we can submit. So what I want to do before we continue is actually spend some time and get this to look decent. I can't promise that it's going to look amazing because I haven't fully thought this all the way through. But I think what I'm going to do is actually on our YouTube channel, so Techmaker TV here. So on our channel here, we don't need to play whatever this is. There's a video, if you go back just a little ways, it might be more than a little ways. Let's see, here we go. So we did all these videos on action cable chat. Here it is, Messenger with Rails 6. So I'll put a link to this down in the description. We don't need to do all of that. In any case, what we're going to do is we're going to grab the styles from that, and that lives on GitHub right now at github/my account here, and I think it should come up pretty quick. Yeah, this Messenger app. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the styles and the page structure from here, but this is obviously in Rails, so we're going to have to port this over, and I'm going to try to do it in a way where it doesn't take very long, but that's basically what this episode is working on the UI. So hopefully that won't take too long. Once we get this set up, I think this episode hopefully won't be very long. We can kind of get this looking, feeling good. What we're going to do next is sort of map out, or I need to map out kind of some feature ideas, but there are a few that I've kind of got swirling around in my head. I think we're going to try to make this have sort of some Telegram/Slack capabilities. Anyway, we'll deal with that later. I just want to get it looking okay for now. So that said, the first thing I want to do is go ahead and grab the Bootstrap. So we're going to use Bootstrap because that's what I use in this other video. So we'll say Bootstrap. Let's just search for that. It should pull up getbootstrap.com here. Get started. I actually don't want Bootstrap 5. I want Bootstrap 4 or something, because I know that's what the video that I did was in. Let's search for Bootstrap 4 here. I don't know that I want 4.0, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to copy that, and let's head over to our index here in the head. If anything goes wrong, hopefully it won't. So we've got, what all do we have in here? jQuery 3.2.1. So I'm not doing anything special with 3.6, so I assume it's all the same. And since that's in the docs, I'm just gonna put it like that. So if we save that and we go back and we refresh, things should look a little bit different. Just inheriting some Bootstrap styles potentially. Maybe not. Maybe not yet. Let's put like a. Let's put a div with a class of container and see if that gets us what we want here. So class equals container. And let's grab all of this and just, hold on. Keyboard shortcuts are not working for me right now. There we go. So let's come back and refresh over here and see if we're inside of a container. Doesn't look like we are. Well, if we are, it's not doing a dang thing. Maybe I didn't get the styles. Did I manage to do that? I just got the JavaScript. That's what it is. Sorry, that's my bad. Let's get the styles here. All right, that should change things for us significantly. Okay, cool. You can see everything kind of changed. We have a different font. The button looks different. The HR tag is a bit different. Okay, so now we've got Bootstrap hooked up. Sorry for the little confusion there. So the first thing I want to do is actually head over here, or the next thing I want to do rather is head over here. And I'm going to get this page from the previous video I was talking about earlier. So it's going to be an app, views. Let's see, it should be rooms, index. And there's a lot of stuff in here that we're not going to need. Like I don't need these div ID, room ID things right now. And obviously we're going to have to migrate all this stuff from being Rails to being, hold on one sec. You know, one thing we want to do first is create a new file here. And I'm going to call this old index.ejs. I do this sometimes because I don't want to, when I'm making big changes to a file, I'll always keep a copy of the old one around while I'm doing it, just to make sure that if something goes haywire, I can just kind of click over and see like what's different about it. So with that said, let's come back over here. So we're going to grab this container fluid. And the first thing we're going to have to do is sort of unrails all of this. So I'm in index.ejs here. So inside the body tag, so I'm going to leave all this script stuff down here, but inside the body tag, I'm going to replace all of that. We can save that, but this stuff isn't going to work here. So what we're going to need to do is actually grab the, let's go get an example of the message there. So where that's going to be, excuse me, not that you guys need to really understand this, because if you don't care about Rails, then you don't care about this. But just so you know, this is coming from another file in Rails. So if we go to Rails, views, messages, underscore message, we're just going to grab this. And I'm going to paste this in here instead, so that as we sort of untangle this from Rails, we know what we're doing. So EJS is pretty similar to ERB. Which is what we're going to be working with here. So we shouldn't actually have to change this a ton, which is what I'm hoping for, which is why I thought this would be a useful idea. Sorry for bouncing around so much. Messages form is the other bit that we need. And let's just have a look at that. We're really not going to want all of this stuff. The only thing that we're going to want is this input group. And then this input group append. The reason for that is because we've already got a form that works. So what we're mostly concerned with here is just the style for input group and input group append. So I'll copy this little bit and then we'll try to make this work with our form. So instead of this render business, we're going to put that there. And what I'm actually going to do again, and so I'm going to come over here to old index, and I'm going to grab my form. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to just kind of paste it somewhere here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is around my text area, and I'm actually going to change that to be a text field. So we'll say input type equals text, I think. Like that, and then that's just a self-closing tag, I believe, like that. And then what I'm going to do here is grab this input group append and put that, oh, jump down too far. I'm going to put that around my submit tag so we can close that div. And that should be it, I think. The only other thing is, I guess we can keep our text. It says post message there. Was there a class on that? Yeah, there's a class on the submit. So we're going to give this a class of BTN primary, I think is what that was. And then if we go back real quick, hold on, I can just jump over to the other screen here. So, oh, no, I need the new thing. So if we undo text field, that needs a class of form control before I forget. So we'll give this a class equals form control. And this is all Bootstrap specific stuff. Okay, cool. So that's basically all we need for the form, I think. Now what do we need to do? We need to just kind of go through this and see. First of all, we're not going to have a new room form. We're not going to have a current user right now. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to kind of stub this out. So I'm just going to put my name here. Or actually, to do hook this up. Then down here we have rooms.each, do some stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of some of the wrapper around this. And I'm going to just kind of like leave one here for the purpose of styling. So we'll just say chat, and then we'll just put a number here, 99 members. Just want to kind of like see what this looks like before we go and change it too much. So right now we don't have the concept of a room. So even if we obviously would have to change it so that it's not Ruby syntax, but for now I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of some of the looping related to room, and we're just going to assume we're in this main chat. So let's just see what we need to hard code here. So we're just going to say chat, and again we'll say 99 members, and we'll just remember that we need to fix that. I don't even know if we can really get that data, so we're going to have to figure that out. So now we have room.messages.each do message, blah, blah, blah. So let's come back over here really quick. And so what we're going to do is say at post.forEach, we're going to copy this little tidbit like that. So now we're looking at a post, and I've got a little syntax here for printing something out if it's the current user. We're going to have to come back to that. So what this is, and you'll see in a second if you didn't check out the other episode, it looks sort of like Facebook Messenger or iMessage on an iPhone or something like that. So maybe what we need to do is, let me come back to this. I'm going to leave that there for just a second, and then we'll come back to that one. So what else do we need? So we're going to go ahead and grab the parsed item. We'll just put that straight inside of here like we had it. And parsed item.content.body. So I'm going to get this. Come back over here and put this here. Parsed item.content.body. And I think we can probably put their address right here for now. So I think we can just say dot address. I think that may be it, and it's going to have to be parsed item instead of message there. And then this doesn't need to be end, it needs to be the closing braces. So I think we've essentially derubified this. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I don't know what I did. Hold on, let me go ahead and cut this. Hit the wrong button there. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste this down here because we're not actually using this old index for anything. So I'm going to leave that there, and we'll come back to it. Let's see. Let's go refresh the page, and let's see what we've got. It may be totally broken. It may not be. It is indeed totally broken. Active class, which makes sense. I don't know what active class was supposed to be. Where is that coming from? Right there. Oh, I'm sure it's saying which room is active. Okay, so we'll have to tighten that up, clean that up a little bit later. Okay, so right now, you can see here we've basically got this unstyled thing. So in the past, this was showing like logged in as, and then it's got your username here. And then it has the rooms, and there'll be other boxes over here on the left with the rooms. And then you can see we have all the messages coming out, and then we're printing out the address that it belongs to. And then down here at the bottom, we can post message, and I don't know, something, we broke something. Well, we broke something because we removed some IDs. Okay, so that's what happened. So we have ID messages list here. So if we come back over to index, I'm acting like this is some mystery. I'm just going to change the JavaScript. Excuse me. I'm going to change the JavaScript to be messages. And I'm going to add this to be append because we're going to want this to be at the bottom now. But we're not just going to append a list item, a simple list item. We're going to append this whole div here. So there's definitely going to be a better way to do this, but for now, let's actually come down here and just define a method. Let's see if I can do it like this. Let's see if I can say something like function append message, and it's going to take in content like this, and then let's say a variable template equals, and I'm just going to, well, I'm going to use single quotes because it looks like we're using double quotes in there. So after each line, you need to give it a backslash to tell it that it's a new line, like so. It's a little bit tedious, but it is what it is. Okay, so here's our template, and instead of this EJS syntax, what I'm going to want to do is say I'm going to want to give it like a JavaScript backtick here. What is it? Parsed item. Okay, so hold on. It's going to be message dot. Well, I can do this. You can come down here and just copy it and put that in $signs or a $sign curly brace interpolation there. I think it's not looking quite right, but that might be just because of where we were at here. And I will do the same thing, try to do the same thing here. And we'll say instead of message.content.body, I think we'll say message dot. I actually don't remember what all is in here. I think we might be able to do address again at the top level. We'll see. So once we set up the template, we're going to say dot or $sign messages dot append, and then we'll, hold on, I'm doing the wrong thing here, dot append template, something like that. Okay, and then instead of saying messages append right here, we'll say append message and then pass in our content. Actually, no, we'll pass in the message like that. Okay, let's see if that works. I imagine I did something wrong in here, just realistically. Let's go ahead and open up the terminal. $.post is not a function. That's kind of weird. Okay, so it doesn't like backticks, and I'm obviously getting so a couple of things are going on here. So we need to reverse sort this somehow, because I think this is the most recent stuff at the top, and then down here at the bottom, this is printing out just text, so it's not doing the string interpolation. So what I'm going to want to do is say here, I'm going to break out of the string that I'm in, and I'm going to say message.content.content.body like that, and then add another plus there. And we can get rid of that now, and then we need to give that a backslash. And actually, because might as well just close the div here and then give that a backslash. I think, did I do that wrong? Did not like something. Maybe I don't need this closing one there. And then on this next one, we can actually, let's do the same thing here, kind of like simplifying that just a little bit. So instead of this backtick, we'll give this quote or an opening single quote there. We'll say message.address. Go ahead and we need to do a plus there. And then again, div. And then I'm going to get rid of that. And that looks a little bit simpler now. I don't know if it works, but it looks simpler. So let's go refresh and see what happens. So now you can see that we actually have stuff coming across the wire that's not saying undefined or printing out the function. So it does in fact look like we're working there. Okay, cool. So let's run this one more time here and run post. Okay, so it doesn't like I need to add an ID on my form, I think. Message form. So I have a class of chat box. I have an ID of message form here. Okay, I need to say input type equals text right here. And let's say test with new design, so we know where we're coming from. Click post. And something is going wrong here. What is it? I'm getting $.post is not a function. Am I getting like a lightweight version of jQuery? Yeah, I'm getting jQuery Slim here. So I'm going to go back over to my old index for a second. Well, I had already copied this stuff in here. So let me just put all that back. Let me go back and just grab the jQuery from the CDN. And we'll do just minified again. Copy that. And replace this jQuery with that jQuery. I guess it's like I don't actually get into this stuff too much, so I guess it's like a lighter weight version that doesn't have everything that we need. Cannot read property content of undefined. I did not notice that before, so maybe that's why it's showing up right, is because it's actually not printing out some stuff that shouldn't be there. I'm not sure. So if we post message, did it show up anywhere? Do we get another error? Let's see. Cannot read property content of undefined. So what are we trying to do? Call content. So it did come back. We saw it print out. So let's see. That's going to be not in here. Message.content. So I think what we need to do is so we got, if we're saying this is message, so we have message.content.content. This is fun. This is weird. What's going on? Let's look at the code really quick. I've got to have messed up something obvious. So, oh, that's it. I'm calling message.content and I've just passed in content there. So we'll pass in message instead. And let's go ahead and refresh. Let's see if our message showed up at the top. So this is the last one we submitted. So let's come down here and go testing this out with the new design again. And that should show up here. Okay, so the address is undefined. Let's have a look at what's in here. So we might have to do content. It should be .content.address. Message.content.address. Let's refresh. So we've got a weird thing going on here where we're obviously, let me close this. Let's add something here. So if we post, did something go wrong? What happened? Oh, it just took a while to show up, I guess. Let's see. One more time. Post message. Looks like it's taking a second right now. There it goes. Okay, so, but now we have everything showing up, but we do have things sorted in the wrong order. So let's see if we can quickly just reverse sort all of this stuff. Well, actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's get the rest of the design brought in from the other app. So if we go back to the Messenger app over here, and we go back up to the top level, app, JavaScript, style sheets, application. Basically, I've just got a short Sass file here, but I don't want to go to the trouble of setting up Sass just yet. So I'm going to go over here and go SCSS to Css Converter. And let's see what happens. So if I paste in my SCSS here, and then I click that, let's just copy all of this and go back over here. I'm going to create a new folder. How can I? New folder, and let's call it style sheets. Okay, and then in here we'll say index.css, and I'm just going to paste everything in here like that. And again, if you want to see this full build out, feel free to go check out the Rails episode, but it is Rails, so it's different. So in here, underneath this, I'm going to say link, and then I'm going to bring in, so it's up a level, style sheets, and then index.css. And let's go refresh. I don't need that anymore. Let's go refresh this and just see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see that this kind of looks a little bit more like a messenger kind of app or something. So what that class does that I had for me is it's going to look and say like, hey, if the address is my address, put it on the right side and in blue. So let's get that hooked up, or try. There's some JavaScript in the other app that I'm not going to worry about bringing over, but we need to do some things like when the page loads, we need to scroll to the bottom automatically, and then when we append messages, they need to automatically push everything else up. So we're not going to do all of that here, but we are going to try to at least get this set up so that it displays everything right. Let's go ahead and jump back over to our index.js. So what I want to do is when I render my post here, I want to also render the user, and we'll just say request.user like that. This is probably going to make me log out again. Yeah, so we'll go over here and say Samantha, password, unauthorized. Samantha, must have typed that wrong. Okay, cool. So now we should be passing along the user here. So I'm going to go back over here to this me if message.user is current user. So what I'm going to do, what is that on? That should be on the message class maybe. So what I'm going to do here is say, basically I'm going to use an EJS tag, and I'm going to print out, well, first of all, we need to use a ternary operator. So we're going to say parsed item.addressed. We're going to check if that's equal to our user.address, which we passed in from the controller, or from the, the index.js. I don't really know what you would call that. If it's true, we're going to say me. Otherwise, we're going to do an empty string. So let's save that. So once we do that, let's go refresh over here, and we should see, yeah, so all of my messages are on the right in blue, and everybody else's are on the left in gray. So you can see what I mean by saying it looks kind of like an iMessage kind of thing. So what I want to do next is actually get this thing sorted in the correct order. And I don't actually know how to do that off the top of my head in JavaScript. So let's just say JavaScript reverse array. Okay, there's prototype reverse. So it looks like we just call dot reverse somewhere. No? Where is it? Here? Array dot reverse. So let's say that here, well, let's go to index. So we can say post dot reverse dot for each. I'm not sure. There's probably a better way to do that. But let's go ahead and reverse it. So I've got some of this is actually me though. Why? So these are coming in later. There's something going on. So we have 1, 2, 3, looks like about 10. So I think that the WebSockets are actually adding, I think the WebSocket connection pulls back 10 things on the first request. I believe that's what I was told. So maybe we don't need to do that for like somehow on the first connection. I'm not sure how to prevent that exactly. But let's try something really quick. Let's just say testing this again. Let's post it and let's see where it shows up. So it shows up over there, but if I refresh, so okay, keep this in mind, testing this again. So we should have a message at the very bottom that says testing this again here. So that's me. And then over here we see it again. So we have a couple of problems here, and I don't think I'm going to sort them all out right now. I imagine that we actually don't have the user in the, or we don't have access to the user whenever we're adding, well, hold on, we have this template down here, right? So I'm just wondering if we still have access to the user somehow. We might not, because this EJS is server side, right? So what I'm going to do is at the very top of my body, I'm going to do a little hack here. So I'm going to say div, and then I'm going to say ID equals current user. And then I'm going to say data dash address equals, and then inside of here, we're going to just pass in user.address like that. And if we go back and we refresh, and let's inspect the page and just see if we have our address here. So we have address right there, right? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's open that back up. Okay, so now the hack, basically, I don't know if this is really a hack, but so what we can actually do here is say like user var user equals, and then we'll say, or let's say user address, just not to confuse ourselves, equals, and then we need to grab the ID current user data, and then we'll pull out the ID there, and that should give us, or the address rather, address, and didn't mean to hit the up arrow. On our message here, so this is going to be kind of ugly, we're going to add a space, and we'll say plus, and then plus, right? And then we'll say user address equals, what is it? Message.content.address question mark. This is getting kind of weird. So then we'll say quotes me, otherwise nothing. I'm just trying to like visually look at this and see if I like did that right. That's kind of crazy looking. Okay, let's refresh and just see what happens. So if we scroll all the way down, so you can see now it's putting this on the right, even though we're getting it twice. So if we scroll up here, we're getting testing this again. So I don't love that. We need to figure out how not to append those things on the first time we get hit with that. So I don't know exactly what to do about that right now, so I'm going to read about that offline and see if I can think of a good way to handle that. The other thing I want to do, I think I'm going to go ahead and just like put a few other things in here. So we're going to say like main chat. Here we'll call this like Aleph. Here we'll call this Node JS, just to kind of confuse us ourselves later. We'll hard code a couple of other things in here. Okay, so let's go refresh and see what that looks like. And so now we have a few other rooms here. And then what I want to do is actually remind myself what did I call that to make that look active? I just want to get all the styles that I had done previously hooked up in here. So active, so it should say active. So I want the top one to say active like that. And let's refresh this again and just kind of see what it looks like. Nothing happened. Let me look at that one more time. May have read that too quick. Class room card active. It might be because we don't have this room link around it. So let me go ahead and add that just to be sure. So I'm going to come in here and just say ahref equals # and class equals room link. And then I'm going to just grab this and stick that up in there, and we'll see if that works. Okay, so now we see what this is supposed to look like basically. So I think I'm going to leave this here for now. Where we're going to pick up in the next episode, I think we're going to start by doing two things. I think we're going to clean this up so that we actually have essentially just the messages that we pull back from the server on the first go around, instead of, we need to filter out this blast of 10 WebSocket things. And then on top of that, what I want to do is make sure I'm not showing things that aren't, I don't know what this is, but I don't think this is actually a chat. I think this is coming from somewhere else. And additionally, if that doesn't take too long, we're going to hook up rooms. So I know there's some default rooms, and I think we're going to go ahead and get all of that hooked up so we can just switch between. At that point, we will basically have just recreated the simplest dApp, but with a probably slicker looking design. Once we do that, I think what I want to do is sort of work on, adding some new features and getting into a little bit more advanced data modeling. I'd like to make it so that you can create your own channel, potentially invite people to join that channel, or maybe have some sort of permission system. I'm not 100% sure yet. I've got some various ideas on it. At some point, we're also going to work a lot on the UI. I don't know if we're going to try to do it in just jQuery, because I don't really see this going too crazy. We could do some stuff in React. Not really sure. I don't really know yet. So I kind of wanted to keep this simple as more of an exploration of Aleph instead of getting into a ton of other stuff. But who knows where we'll end up. I want to make this pretty cool. So in any case, that's it for this episode. If you made it, this one ended up being kind of long. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.